Hello, everyone, and welcome to Games Connect Us All, the gaming podcast for you and me. So, Jake,
Yeah.
you remember at the beginning of or maybe it was the end of last year, we had these two episodes where we talked about gaming technology. And
What? I don't remember
I
that.
know, right? One, it took us a couple weeks to even get to the second part of that episode. And then we had mentioned, let's do a third episode later. And now it is March, the end of March, the very end
Actually,
of March.
how long ago? It was 3 months ago.
Was it 3 months ago?
Yep. It was 3 months ago. We went on the record saying part 3 will be out soon.
Oh my god.
Welcome to part 3.
Yes, this is part 3. In
But it's also technically,
We-
I'd say it's kind of stands on its own a little bit.
Definitely, yes. It's like kind of like a pseudo part 3. Like we're not. It's
Yeah,
not
you don't have to
really-
watch parts 1 and 2. And this video is all about video game graphics. And towards the end, we're going to get into the future of what we think gaming technology could hold.
Yes, and it's gonna be great. So what do we well, let's just talk about some small talk first. So have you been so obviously I'm not back home anymore. I'm not with Jake. You can actually see Jake's more permanent setup now.
Look, that's where we were on the last previous episode.
I was surprised our audio was as good as it was. Like watching
Yeah, it
it
wasn't
back.
too bad. It was pretty good.
That video was one I was excited to watch back.
Yeah, that one was fun.
Yeah.
More tier lists coming soon, I'm sure.
So have you done anything of note since then?
Oh, I did one thing of note that I wanted to talk about, and I can't remember what it is right now.
Did it have something to do with video
Something-
games or not?
Yes, I bought The Last of Us Part 1.
Oh, nice!
I pre-ordered it, so I haven't played it yet.
Very cool.
It becomes playable on the 28th. It's just sitting there now, taunting me until then.
That's why I hate pre-ordering games because
Yeah.
'cause especially digitally, because I can just see it there. It's taunting me.
Yeah, and it was for my birthday. And I got that and the We Were Here bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Which We Were Here is something that Connor and I have been waiting to play the rest of for a while.
I've had the bundle since November. Jake has refused to buy it until now, until it went on sale. Although it got
The sale was really good.
the sale was it was what 75% off or 80.
It was 75% off, so
It
but
went
they
from
marked it up.
it went from $30 to
it was 15.
was it?
But I'm pretty sure they raised the price up to 40 and then did 75% off.
Oh,
Like
okay.
65% off or something.
Still less expensive than it would have been before.
Yeah, and still a good deal for 3 games, I
Yeah,
think.
3 games that we didn't already have because it includes
Yeah.
the first one too, but that's free and we already played it.
But I'm excited to play those. We should do that soon.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I talked on the last episode that I've started BioShock.
I don't think you did. You talked to me afterwards about it, but I don't think you did during the episode.
So I started BioShock and it's really good. It's like one of the best games that I've ever played.
Oh my
And
god.
I want to beat it before I start The Last of Us, but it's getting really hard now.
Right.
There's like a hacking mechanic, which is kind of outdated because BioShock's such an old game. Like it feels like such a stupid gimmick, but it's basically like there's these vending machines and stuff, and you can hack them to get cheaper prices and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a meter of how hard it is to hack that goes from green to red. And I'm at the point in the game where every single one is all the way red, and there's not even any point doing it because it's so fucking hard to do it.
Oh wow.
So I don't know if that means I'm towards the end or if they were just halfway through the game just decided to make them all impossible.
Maybe it's a specific area you're into.
That could be it.
You're not supposed to unlock those doors, but they still want to give you the option to.
Yeah, but I'm really close to. I can taste the end of the game, I think, at this point.
It's cool. I haven't been playing that many video games, if I'm being honest. Because this past week has been super busy for me. I uploaded a new video today. Um, and the there was one thing though. Did it have something to do with video games? It did, I think. I
We're
think it
hitting stuff
did.
here.
No, it's weird. Oh, I just had it in my head too. Ah, fuck.
I could talk
Oh,
about something
the three.
briefly
No,
while you think.
I figured it out. The 3DS and Wii U eShops are shutting down in 2 or 3 days. Um,
Get your shit before it is gone.
yeah, get your shit before it's gone. There's certain games that probably won't work after the eShop is shut down. Um,
Wow, it's
oh
like
shit!
Blockbuster shutting down. What?
There's one thing I need to buy before I forget. I have Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, and I haven't bought all the game packs for it, and it's gonna bother
Oh,
me to no
yeah.
end if I don't get all of those before the eShop shuts down. I am.
It feels like yesterday that the Wii and DS ones shut down,
I know.
and now
Um,
already the Wii U and 3DS are going.
right. Well, the good news is though, like there's more opportunities to get games still. Um, that I'm definitely going to be using. Um, and apparently it's super easy too. Like way easier than I thought it was going to be. So
Ah, that's good.
yeah.
I've honestly been in a gaming renaissance lately for myself. I stopped playing for a really long time. Like we were doing the podcast like this whole time, but I
Right.
haven't really been playing much games. But I started Horizon, and it was an experience. Get a bit of a character arc with it,
Yeah.
but uh, after that, I went to BioShock, and I'm like chugging through, and The Last of Us is coming up, and I've got a few other games. I officially have a list of games on my back burner, which I have never had before. But I'm kind of starting to see that video games can be. I know it's funny because we talked about like our video games art in an episode.
Right.
I think it's like our least successful episode ever. It shouldn't be. It's a really good
Yeah.
episode, but I'm starting to um, see the storytelling art of games, like Hollow Knight too. I've been
Right.
playing, so yeah, I've been appreciating games a lot lately.
That's great. I'm happy to hear that. I um see for me I can't just have like a list of games in my back burner because I can't
Back
like
back burger.
back burger. I can't just do that because I need to be in a mood to play a game. Like generally once I'm into a game, I'll be more likely to be in a mood to play it. Like Bug Fables, I started playing that, and I've been in a mood to play that, and Mario Kart same way. Um, but as of recently, I haven't really been like that, had that urge. I wanted to play Gas Station Simulator the other day, which isn't a game I played in a long time,
Hmm.
and it's like a comfort game for me. And Hitman 3 I want to play again too because I haven't been playing that either. And I listed that as one of my top games when we did that episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've heard very good things about it.
Um, oh, one game I have been playing this week because I've been playing it in class on my laptop because it's like one of the few games my laptop can handle. Peggle,
Peggle?
Peggle, yeah. Um,
What's that one again?
it's like Plinko, where you shoot a ball at
That's
at
right.
these pegs and they like it bounces around. You have to try to get all the orange ones. It's a really good game. I really enjoy it. Um, yeah, and
I mean,
I'm almost,
Peggle's a classic.
right. It's on EA Play, and that came with my Game Pass PC, so I was able to get Peggle and Peggle Knights, which I haven't played Peggle Knights at
Oh,
all. So
Peggle Knights.
I don't know what that is. So I guess we'll find out.
Sounds intense.
Yeah. But let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of this episode. The graphics of video games. Now, when you think of graphics, what comes to mind?
What comes to mind when I think of graphics?
Yes.
I don't know. I guess to think of a game that comes to mind when it comes to graphics, I'd probably say like Breath of the Wild for me is a graphical game that pleases my eye.
That's a good one.
I like a balance of the graphics being high quality and like being stylized.
Right. Um, well, I was gonna go on a separate tangent, like, and start listing off games, but
I think we're doing that in a minute
yeah,
anyway.
so I don't want to go too deep into the bushes.
Well,
Um,
what's one game that you feel like you
well,
like the graphics
I
of?
was gonna say, Skyward Sword. That game strikes me as a game that has a big, a strong graphical style, because like you had Wind Waker, like two games before, then you had Twilight Princess, and then you had kind of a mix of the two with Skyward Sword,
Mm.
and I think it worked really well. Although I know that's not, I don't think that's a very popular opinion. Um, but yeah, I think it's
I
pretty.
feel like the Wii era Nintendo graphics are very well stylized and very timeless.
They had to. The Wii
A
is
lot,
not the Wii
yeah.
is not that much more graphically powerful than the GameCube. It in turn
It
like
honestly helped. It honestly helped it.
what do you mean?
I feel like compared to the
Oh
other,
yeah, I know what you mean.
if you're looking today back, like the Wii looks so much better than consoles that were trying to be high fidelity.
Yeah, especially like the Xbox 360 or whatever. Like 'cause some of the Xbox 360 games kind of look like shit now.
Yeah, looking at a lot of them, they didn't go for style, so a lot of them are like trying to be realistic, but
There just wasn't time for it
it
yet.
wasn't time yet. So like the when you look back, the Wii games look like they could be from like 3 years ago, and the Xbox games look like they're from
Right.
10 years ago, which they are.
Wii Sports, especially Resort, still holds up really well in terms
Yeah,
graphically.
they look good. They could
Um,
port them still, and they
right.
would be good. And I'm surprised they haven't, honestly.
Yeah, it's I don't understand Nintendo's decision making. This is kind of a side tangent, but like related to Nintendo. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were talking about how it was. Nintendo is like your child, okay? Oh, it was specifically Pokemon. Because you know how like the newer Pokemons are kind of like shit, to put
Hit
it
or
bluntly.
miss, let's say.
Hit or miss. Let's put it that way. So we were talking. I was talking with this person, and they had mentioned this with something else, and I had just related it. I was just like, Pokemon. It's like your child, okay? And it grows up, and you're raising it well, and it looks like very promising. And about like, I don't know, you're going good, and eventually your child gets addicted to drugs, and disowns your family, and you only talk to them on holidays, and that's Pokemon.
Yeah. Pokemon Legends Arceus is like Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Like you think there's hope for it.
Right, right,
You
right,
think
right, right.
maybe it's not going down such a bad path.
Yeah,
But
no.
then doesn't show up at Christmas. That's Violet and Scarlet
And
back on the streets.
I'm kind of proud of like they only see you at holidays, because like people only really play Pokemon and when they first get it
Yeah,
around the
yeah.
holidays. um,
Is there a new one coming out this year?
no, God no. I think
I'm
they
so
do
sick of
one. I
them.
think they do a mainline one every 2 years. Um,
I can wait for the next one.
Me too. Um, so
I don't care anymore
me neither. But
about Pokemon.
let's go into our first our first kind of like category here. So we have stylized graphics.
Oh wait. Before I feel like I already know the answer to your question, to my question. Before we get into what we're about to get into, do you prefer, and I know obviously the modern graphics are more new, so they're not as popular, but do you prefer like really stylized graphics or really realistic graphics?
Really stylized.
Because I
I think realistic graphics are something that you should not be striving for necessarily in a video game, simply because of time. Because like something like the Walking Dead Telltale series, that still looks pretty decent nowadays because it's a stylized graphics and it still looks semi-realistic. If more games did something like that, I feel like it'd be fine. But like Watch Dogs on the Xbox 360. That game kind of looks like shit now because it's like it's tried to be realistic, and at the time the
Yeah.
realism wasn't like styled enough. So I prefer that, and I particularly like 2D graphics. I like 2D games a lot. Yeah.
It kind of makes me wonder if, as the graphics get good enough, if the um, more realistic graphics will start to hold up like in 10 years. I mean, the original Last of Us is pretty old now,
Right.
and like it holds up, and it was trying to be realistic. I'm thinking, um, obviously, I've been into The Last of Us lately, but The Last of Us Part 2, the graphics of that game, like, are they going to be bad in 10 years? Because they're, like, so good.
Right.
But they're completely meant to be realistic.
Right. Well, The Last of Us, I think, was that was like right at like the tail end of that era. Like that, after that point, games games tend to still look good to us now. Um,
We've entered the age of enlightenment.
right. Well, and The Last of Us, the one that's on, or I think it's the one that's on PC, is a remastered version, I believe.
Yeah, that's the one that's about to come out.
So clearly they thought it was in need of a remaster. Whatever. We're going kind of into a later topic though, so let's style
Oh,
it back a
okay,
little bit.
okay.
So back to
Let's
stylized graphics.
let's style it back a little bit.
Yeah, let's. There you go. There you go. Um, so the first thing we have on our list is A Link to the Past. Basically, any 2D Zelda game has this kind of like art style.
So I feel like A Link to the Past is special, in my opinion.
Do you?
When I look back on 16-bit era, like SNES,
SNES,
and
honestly,
Genesis.
those consoles had like some of the best pixel art.
Well, yeah, they were like peak. For me, I feel like Link to the Past. That's the SNES one, right? I'm not crazy.
Yes, no, you're correct.
So I've played the heck out of it, and it feels not just graphically, but obviously the whole game, but also graphically, it feels like a game stylized in the 16-bit style that would come out today. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
Like it feels like it could have been made like this year.
right.
So I don't know. That stuck out to me. And there's other games that have really good graphics, but for me, Link to the Past is like the best graphics on the SNES.
Right.
I love the way it looks. It's so like perfectly knows its limitations, but also like pushes them.
Right. It like, yeah, I get what you mean. Personally, I never really liked A Link to the Past, because and the reason for that is because of A Link Between Worlds. That's one of my favorite Zelda games, and the controls are very very smooth on A Link Between Worlds. So it's hard to go back to A Link to the Past because it's essentially the same world with just worse controls, and that kind of just killed the whole thing for me.
I also don't love, in general, I don't love the gameplay of the old Zelda games either. I
I
just love the way
do
that one
is the
looks.
thing. I want to play one game I'm raring to play at some point is Minish Cap. I really want to play it because that one that's like the last 2D Zelda game that still had pixel art, I believe. And or yeah, I think it came out after Four Swords Adventures. But it's one of those two. And that era of 2D Zelda is my favorite.
This kind of makes me want to talk about 2D games that are not pixel art. Does that make sense?
I have that.
That's a
covered.
topic for later
That's
too.
a topic for later. Don't.
Okay.
Yes, I. Yeah. So let's move on from Link to the Past.
My predictions are wild today.
Yeah, I know you're going crazy here. Up next we have BioShock, a game that you've played. I have not played it.
Okay, yes.
But
I put this one on the list.
This is a weird pick for me, honestly,
Is it?
because I've always considered BioShock to be more of a realistic game.
Okay.
Hey.
You have to look again. It's realistic, but it's very highly stylized.
I'm looking up some images.
Especially the environments. This one I really wanted to talk about the environments of
Oh,
it.
oh, oh! I see now. It's kind of like what I was talking about with The Walking Dead. Like,
Yeah, it's a little bit of that. It's realistic, but the environments in it are so good. I'm playing the remaster, so obviously they're a little bit better in the remaster. But like looking at the underwater city that's also like Art Deco and like 1940s styled.
mm-hmm.
It's so cool. It's such a
I'm looking at
perfect.
these images and they seem really, really good.
Yeah, it's just such a cool style. Like
And this is the
it
kind of
feels really good to
style.
explore that world.
This is the kind of style that doesn't get old with like age.
Yeah,
Like,
but it's also realistic.
right, Borderlands has a similar style to this actually.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, because it builds such an environment. It's similar for me with movies. Like if you look at like movies from the 80s, there are some that just look terrible, but the
right.
ones that knew what their style was, like I think Back to the Future still looks
Yes.
like brand new.
There's only a handful of CGI portions of that movie, and
Hmm.
and yeah, that looks bad, but like they also knew not to overdo it, so it doesn't like ruin the
Yeah.
experience. There's kind of a this is kind of going off on movies now, but kind of and also a side tangent. But I recently watched the Librarian movies. I watched the first two. I need to watch the third still. At the end of the second one is very heavily CGI based, and it kind of kills the end of the movie. Only a little bit.
Oh, really?
Only a little bit because it's like all of like the main threats that are happening are like all CGI monsters or like CGI ghosts or whatever, and like it's.
Oh, you make me want to go on a tangent right now too.
Let's not though. Let's try to stay on topic, okay? I know. Maybe next. Oh, not next week, but
No,
maybe.
I'm talking about it. You can't
Okay,
stop
all
me.
right, all right.
I watched the new Shazam movie.
Oof, is it not good?
It's not. I don't know. The people I saw it with thought it was okay, or they thought it was ranged from okay to good. All right, this is
Uh-huh.
bad. I think it was like here. It wasn't bad. It was close.
Wow.
It was
Okay.
close to being bad, but it ended with a bunch of. The reason I'm saying this is it ended with a bunch of fucking CGI monsters fighting them.
Bruh.
Just the most overdone old fucking thing. Like especially in superhero movies, it's like, oh no, an army of like three CGI enemies that are just like repeated to look like they're all over the place.
Right.
Oh, it made me so mad.
Yeah. It's
Like have something cool happen. This
yeah.
looks so stupid.
The first
Like
Shazam movie was really, really good. Like,
I liked the first Shazam. This one just felt like a step back. It felt like an MCU movie from 10 years ago.
damn it. Like,
Yeah.
that's like the worst. Anyway,
It was funny though.
yeah.
I'll give it that.
Yeah.
That.
We are getting very off topic though. We need to like
Yeah.
kind of hone it in. But
Also, I'm watching the Hunger Games movies right now.
I don't like the Hunger Games movies that much. But
I like the books, and I remember I read the first book and then I wanted to watch the movie, but I only had like an hour before I had like a rehearsal, so I put it in two times speed and watched it,
oh my god.
and it ruined it for me. And like I was watching it today, and I'm like, wait, this isn't bad. I just watched it in two times speed and have a bad
Yeah,
memory
that
of
was
it
stupid.
because
No,
because I watched it in double time.
yeah, no, this pacing's all over the place. I don't know what's going on.
I can't follow it. Why are they talking so fast?
No, but yeah, that's I don't like those movies. But enough about movies. We're a gaming podcast.
Are we?
And for once we're actually talking about video games, or we're supposed to be. So let's continue with that. Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight, I agree.
Okay, yeah, this one we can both talk about because
Yeah.
we both actually played quite a bit of it.
Hollow Knight is like a beautiful game.
The style is so good. I am sick of playing it right now because I've been running around this. I just beat Hornet for the first time in the green place.
Mm-hmm.
Green Path, I think it's
Yeah.
called.
Yep.
And I can't figure out where to go. And I've run around the whole map like 4 times.
Have you looked at the
looking
full
for
map? I remember
places.
I had to tell you how to look at the
Yeah,
full
I looked
map.
at the full map and ran around probably for half an hour without finding it, and I was like, I got so sick of looking at the graphics that I just closed it, and I have not played it since. It's been like a
If
month.
you look at like the big map, there's like these little alcoves.
Yeah, I've looked in all of them. I swear. There must be
There's
one.
gotta be one that you haven't.
It's just so annoying because now I'm gonna have to go back to all of them because I
Right.
thought I had it,
And there's some that you can't get like even go in, so you don't really know either too.
and it's like, could I get to it though? And I'm just not good.
I don't know.
But the graphics are great and the style is great. I'm just really
Yes.
frustrated about it right now.
I actually, as I was thinking about it, it has a similar art style to Wario Land. Shake It.
Does it?
It does. So
Is that the one you did the playthrough of, or
um, it's
Semi-playthrough
it's an
of?
ongoing playthrough.
okay? So I know what it looks like,
Yeah.
like the kind of aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
They do look kind of similar.
So the idea is like a hand drawn hand. I don't know if Hollow Knight's hand drawn, but like a drawn
It looks like a cartoon.
cartoon. The all of like the characters and sprites are cartoonish. To the point where like you could drop them in like an anime or like a whatever, and it wouldn't feel out of place. But all the environments in the backgrounds are all like way more detailed, way more realistic. They feel like an actual world that you could live in. Hollow Knight is particularly small, like it's based on like small objects because that's they're bugs. But you know, Wario Land is more. You can see all like mountains in the background of one of them, or like waterfalls or jungle, and it's so cool. And I wish more games did that, honestly.
Agreed.
All right,
I want to beat Hollow Knight so bad. I'm just so pissed at it right now.
that's the problem with Metroidvanias. And the thing is, once you stop playing them, it's really difficult to go back into it.
Because when you get back in, you don't remember. where you were.
Exactly.
If I played it all in one session, like for 36 hours, I would get it.
Yeah, basically. All right. So, Symphony of the Seven Souls. This is an indie game that we played a while
Guys,
back as a segment.
You can
on
go
one of
watch. Go watch us play this game.
Yes, it's on our channel.
We need to do that segment again.
We
soon,
do.
Too.
Maybe next week we'll do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did that for Indie Hour, a segment that I think that was the only episode that we've done. The only episode
so far
with
it
that
is.
segment that we've done so far. And it has a very stylized graphical style. Although, say what you want to say about this first, because you're the
Okay.
one who added this to the list.
Yes, I feel like, so I don't know if you knew this fully, that it's meant, a lot of these indie horror games are meant to look like PS1,
That's what I
PS2.
was about to say. Yeah.
Yes, and they take that, I think they take that style and use it to their advantage. So I wanted to have at least one of those games on here, and I figured that'd be a good one since it's on our channel.
Right. No, I agree. My problem with it is that it is a style that has resulted out of the desire to create realistic games. Because
That's kind of interesting.
it is kind of interesting to like dissect a little bit, but like it kind of annoys me a little bit.
Oh, I like it.
Well, it annoys me to put it on like the same like plane as Hollow Knight or A Link to the Past.
Well, I'm not saying they're the same like
No,
quality.
no,
I just
no,
thought
no,
it
no.
would be
I know.
interesting to
I'm
talk
just saying.
about.
I'm just saying like stylized graphics as a whole. Like it doesn't. It's obviously
almost its own
stylized.
genre,
It's almost
I'd
its
say.
own like style, like completely different from stylized and like realistic.
Well, it's the same way that in the past like 10 years, like the 2D games of the past that had like Jesus Christ, bit art. Why can't I think of the word? Pixel art.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Have made like there's been new games that use pixel art. I think it's kind of interesting that you're starting to see
Oh, I
new
didn't even.
games with
Oh my
PS1
god!
style
I didn't even
graphics.
think about that. Although, it's a little bit different because a PlayStation like PlayStation games, like the original PlayStation games, those are made with the intention of creating realistic graphics.
Yeah.
So like
So
it's
that's the
different.
difference.
Like Link to the Past, Nintendo knew that it wasn't going to be the most realistic, like mind blowing.
This looks just like real life. It's like I'm really there.
Yeah, but they knew that, and I guess that's kind of the difference for me.
Right, it's because the
I'm playing
PS1
Celeste
is.
tonight. Sorry, this just popped in my head.
Oh,
Celeste is
that's
also a
good.
very good pixel art game that I need to finish really bad, like because I've heard so many good things about it, and I really need to play it, and I'm playing that tonight instead of doing my homework. So,
Good
yeah,
idea.
yeah, I'm doing that.
Make the right choices, everybody.
Yes.
Like Connor has.
But yeah, I agree that it is stylized graphics, and I agree that I think that it is a very good style. It's just that that fact bothers me a little bit.
Because it was trying to look realistic.
Yes,
and now they're trying...
not specifically Symphony of Seven Souls.
Yeah.
But like like the old GTA games, like those look terrible now. I mean, well, not the worst. Those are some of the better ones that tried to be realistic back then.
It's interesting to me that people are trying to replicate the style that failed to look realistic. That's interesting to me.
It's kind of like playing into the uncanny valley, because you said as you said, it's like mostly in horror games that you have this idea, and like with those low polygon consoles, all of those like people just didn't look quite right. And like again,
Yeah, that
I
makes
got
it
in my
so
mind, I'm
perfect.
thinking GTA, like old
Mhm.
GTA, because I'm like imagining this single guy's face. But yeah,
That is perfect for horror.
yes, I agree. So let's keep going. Wind Waker was a pretty divisive game at the time it was at its release because of its
People hated
graphics.
it because it
Um,
didn't look realistic.
yeah, because
I think the culture has shifted a lot about
oh,
graphics.
100%. Because but when 3D games were first being created, the push to make things more realistic was very, very strong. And I think that's what caused a lot of problems in the gaming industry in terms of graphical debate. But moving forward, we have Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, which are semi-realistic. They kind of have a realistic feel to them, but they're not like great. They're not like amazing, but like I could still play them and feel immersed in the game.
Yeah,
I love the 3DS ones to death, but I could still play the N64 one. So
I feel like a lot of people thought that Wind Waker was a step back.
right, exactly. People thought like, oh man, if Ocarina of Time was this realistic, because it was pretty realistic back in the N64 days. Oh my god, if Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask were this realistic, the next one's going to be crazy. Especially since they were showing off games like Luigi's Mansion and like Mario Sunshine at that point, or it might not have been. They might not have been doing that. I don't remember exactly when Wind Waker came out, but the point still stands. And then afterwards, actually, we could talk about this in particular later, but Twilight Princess tried to be way more realistic, and they like completely in the opposite direction. And then as I said earlier, Skyward Sword kind of took a mix of the two and made it way more
That's right.
stylized. So yeah.
I feel like generally with Mario and Zelda games, and this isn't entirely about graphics, but I guess all mainline Nintendo series is that I feel like every time a new one comes out, the fan base is looking for this to be the definitive Mario or Zelda game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I kind of
So
felt that
like
way with like
so you mean like Breath of the Wild and Odyssey at the moment are like the
yeah,
definitive
it's
Mario
like
games.
definitive Mario, definitive Zelda, Super Smash Ultimate is literally like
Yeah, it's
that's the
kind of
marketing
scary.
for it.
It's kind of scary, and like I think the idea is like they didn't want another Wii U incident where they would
Yeah.
like they wanted to make sure that if the Switch failed, they like had like some definitive ends to stuff, I think. But like also no, just like no. Don't do that.
Well, it makes you wonder what they're gonna do
Exactly.
next,
That's the whole
and how
problem.
people are gonna react to it because now they've made like the definitive Mario game. I mean, definitive 3D Mario game in quotes. But like, if they're not gonna make Odyssey 2, where can they go next without it feeling like Odyssey 2
And I
to
feel
give it a new style?
yeah, and I have a similar feeling to with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because
Hmm.
I think that is
How could you even make Mario Kart 9?
right. Like what could you do to improve the Mario Kart formula from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? There's some there are people that like the gameplay of Wii more, but you have to admit you can't like say that Wii is definitively better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You can say that our 8 Deluxe is definitively better than Wii though, because
Yeah,
it's
it's the
just
same thing with the Smash games, I think too.
yeah, people still love Melee, but it's not the definitive Smash game.
It's all been an evolution. I feel like with Mario Kart, if I was in charge of Nintendo, Mario Kart 9 would be Mario Kart Double Dash 2.
That's not a bad idea, actually. It's a great way to shake up the
Yeah.
formula a little bit. But yeah, that was kind of a tangent. But I get completely with what you're saying.
No, it's okay because I felt that way since all of these games came out on Switch. Like, so how are you gonna satisfy me with the next one if I could just play this for eternity?
So, right, right. But yeah, I don't.
Are we
like,
done with stylized now?
No, we still have a couple more.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't like that Nintendo does that. Period.
Me neither.
Stop. Full stop. End sentence. Moving on. Fortnite. Fortnite Battle Pass.
Fortnite. I played this game
Me too.
last night.
Oh, not. I haven't played. I haven't played any recently. Isn't there a new season?
Yes.
I think.
Actually, last night the people I was playing with, we talked about the graphics
Really.
of Fortnite, and here's how I feel. Fortnite. Oh my God. What was it that I said?
I'm sorry to interrupt you for a minute. Is somebody hammering something in your house?
Yeah, they're hammering my fucking skull. It feels like
I thought it was your like dryer or something, and I was like, "What?" It's
someone's trying to get out of my dryer, pounding on the door. I
Sorry.
just hear screaming from the other side of the door. That's okay. Hopefully they'll stop soon. Sorry, everybody. But Fortnite Chapter 1 has a different style completely than everything that has come since.
Right. I preferred the
And
original
I find that
style.
interesting. That's what we were talking about is like there's a lot of people who are purists and for the original Fortnite style, and I've always thought of them as just like nerds who like only care about nostalgia, right? But I was thinking about it and playing, and I'm like, this game just looked better before.
It was
Like
more
it just
stylized.
had a style.
It was
It
more
had a
stylized.
style and a feeling. I'd say it's more stylized now, but it's too stylized.
There's too much going on now.
Right. Well, I just feel like the graphics even and like the locations, there's so much going on in them and they're so cartoony.
Right.
The original Fortnite felt like a perfect mix of like a shooter and a cartoon.
Yes, I agree. I agree completely.
And I feel like it's more on the side of a cartoon now
Yeah.
compared to before.
Yep.
So I just thought that was interesting about the Fortnite graphics because that's a game that the graphics have changed of the game since it came out.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. It's not even something I really think about that often as being like a graphical like game, but you know.
Right, there's so much focus on the gameplay
Yeah.
in Fortnite.
So moving on, we have.
Oh my god. Sorry.
We have Super Mario Galaxy.
Okay, we have a bit of bad blood about Mario Galaxy now. After
I forget about that. Yeah. Because I said that it like wasn't. It's not like my favorite 3D Mario
yeah,
game.
we came to some sort of agreement at the end, but
Yeah.
That game is really well stylized. I just
It
wanted to
is.
pick that
I
as
think the
another
graphics
example.
work really well for it. Mario
Something that
in
holds up.
general, I think they've
I mean,
done
that came out in 2007, so 16 years old,
right.
and it still looks really good.
Mario is one of the few series that I don't think you could find a single one of their games that has aged poorly. Maybe like the original Super Mario Bros, but even then, I don't even think that ages.
That's well
I think
stylized.
that's well stylized pixel art enough to.
I think Mario Bros. 2 is the closest to
See, I love
being.
the style of Mario Bros. 2. I love everything about Mario Bros. 2. I think it's great.
I just don't like the blue outlines
blue,
on like the characters. They look a little weird.
outlines. I don't remember those, but I'll
In the
trust
original,
you.
I think I'm gonna look it up while you move on to whatever the next thing
Well,
is.
we're still talking about Galaxy here.
Oh, okay.
The so again, I don't think there's been a single Mario game that has had bad graphics that has yet to hold up.
I 100% agree. I think they all hold up.
Even Mario 64 is great. Galaxy is but yeah, Galaxy is again one of those Wii games that just like took the Wii's processing power in stride and just didn't give two shits, and like it's great. I love it, and the one on Switch is even better.
Oh, the
Graphically.
Galaxy.
Yeah,
Oh, fucking pristine on the Switch. It's like such a
I need to play 3D
Yeah.
All Stars again.
yeah. Speaking of graphics, we can talk about 3D All Stars for a second. Although I feel like we've talked about it in like every episode. I was thinking about the original All Stars, and I kind of remembered that the original All Stars remade every game from the ground up.
Oh yeah, no, that's what people were so pissed about when 3D All Stars came out, because all of the original, except for with the exception of Mario World, which was like an add-on to like some cartridges, there was all of the original four games were re-stylized completely, and they were all made in like similar styles so that like you can play
To match
one.
each other.
Yeah, to match each other.
That's what sorry, I looked up Mario Bros 2. For me, the Mario Bros 2 All Stars version is so much better.
Oh, I agree 100%. There's no
But I feel
question
like
about
for-
that. The
I feel like for 3 and the original one, I like the originals more for 1 and 3 than the All Stars version.
I think I do too, mostly just because like I think it just like works better with like the style
Yeah.
of the game. But like I think that they're all really really good. And I think that it makes me
Yeah.
mad that they didn't do that with 3D All Stars.
Right, because could you imagine?
But I also understand why, because it would have
Yeah,
taken
that would be fucking
it would have
so
taken
hard.
years to develop, and they just
Yeah.
didn't have that.
And then by the time it came out, the graphics would look outdated.
Right, and all of the graphics in 3D All Stars was upscaled. So you have Mario 64, same polygon count and all of the models and stuff, but all of the textures and stuff are upscaled, so they look a lot cleaner. And
I'm glad that we have ports of all those games.
it is nice. I agree. But yeah, so yeah, that's all I have. That's all I have to say. Do you have anything to add?
Nothing
that.
to add.
All right, one last thing, and this is kind of like a segue a little bit. So we have 2.5D graphics.
Okay.
2.5D. If you don't know what that is, it's like you have a 2D game, but you have like 3D characters in it. So I don't know why this was the first game that popped in my head, but like a Chibi Robo on the 3DS, that one is 2.5D. Hey Pikmin is 2.5D. I don't know why I'm thinking of these terrible 3DS games. But
Wait, I might have one.
Yeah.
Teach. Hey, Teach.
yeah, go ahead.
Is Kirby the one where you go back and forth between the back and the front, 2.5D?
Yes, Kirby is one of the most infamous 2.5D.
I love that
games.
game. That game is awesome.
All of
The one
them.
where you go back
All
and
of the
forth.
newer ones do that.
I wish I could play it still, but my DS is dead. And now if I get a new one, I can never get it again,
Well, you can't.
technically.
Yeah. Anyway, we. New Super Mario Bros. Is also a very infamous 2.5D type
The
game.
new Metroid game is.
The
Metroid Dread.
new Metroid Dread. There's one more
There's a
that
lot of them.
there's one more that I was gonna Link Between Worlds. I talked about that earlier, and that's why I think it's so
Oh
much
yeah.
better because you have full 360 control with the
Oh, this is the
analog
thing that
stick.
we were kind of going to talk about earlier that you
Yes.
said we had
Yep.
already.
Yep. Um. So, the
Pokemon.
Pokemon, yes. Although that's slowly moving into more less 2.5D as time goes on. Um, the one thing I just wanted to say about this is that it's very, in my opinion, it's hard for 2.5D games to age poorly. Um, because like the generally the graphics are stylized enough that like the characters are either so small that like the tiny pixel count like doesn't really matter that much, or like um it's so developed that it will last for a very long time. But yeah, so now let's move on to the good graphics, or sorry, real.
Yeah, now that we're done talking about all these terrible
No, no,
graphics.
no, no. Listen, okay. Full disclosure, I was not the original one who made this list. Okay, Jake made this
Who
list.
was it?
Jake made this
What?
list, and he put stylized graphics at the top, and then he put good graphics
In
and then,
parentheses, because I feel like society thinks that more realistic graphics are the more good graphics.
sure, that's the reason. I bet
It is.
I bet it's
It
because
is.
you
I
didn't
don't.
think of the word realistic when you were typing it up. You're like
No,
you're just
I no. I wanted to make a point.
all right, but yes, these are the.
This one doesn't have as many examples. So.
No, I'm cutting these down quite a bit because we're running out of time a little bit. So
Yeah, we are.
I'm compiling a few of these into actually most of these actually into this one category of open world games. Now, when I think of open world games, I think more Bethesda, Skyrim and Fallout, and most open world games try to have a more realistic graphical style. That has waned a little bit as time goes on, but generally that is the case. For the most part, it's worked okay, but now we're starting to see like The Last of Us, Skyrim, games that like used to look amazing now look meh at best.
The older ones.
Older ones.
I think Far Cry 3 looks really good.
Far
still.
Cry 3 still looks good. Far Cry 4 still looks good. I'd say some ports of Skyrim still look good as well. But you know, like it's still janky to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked earlier about how like The Last of Us, like that isn't really that. Oh, The Last of Us is an open world. I don't think.
I think it's like kind of open world.
I think it's like barely. It's like
I'm gonna find out.
it's like there is an open world, but like it like opens up as you progress through the story.
Tells
or
you where to
something.
go.
Yeah, kind of like that or something. But yeah, I don't really have much of an opinion on this. I think that they're okay. I always enjoy them. I think it works for the style for the most part. Yeah.
I think we are two people who really like stylized graphics.
Yeah. I hate
But
well.
there are a lot of people, and I wish one of us was one of them so that we could have a debate about it. But I think there's a lot of people who prefer graphics looking more realistic.
I totally understand that. Like, if I think that has made gaming more accessible for people, honestly, in the long run. And that's why it's like an interesting debate because like, who like. Let me phrase this in a way that I don't that I don't offend both of us and all of our viewers, but like,
Jeez.
well, what I was gonna say was like to any like dignified teenage boy, is what I was about to say. Like, realistic graphics is way more accessible. And then I'm like, are we not dignified, like, people? Like, and then I was, are our audience not dignified? I don't know.
To people who are normal and don't waste their time
Exactly,
on this
that's what it sounded
stupid
like.
art form.
No, I mean, like, to your average, like, teenage guy. Like, he's not gonna fucking play Kirby. Mario might even be a stretch. Like, stylized
True.
graphics are less accessible for people who want to be like, want to see themselves as more of like a higher
Mature.
like a mature gamer.
Why this?
I don't know.
I am a mature gamer.
Kind of a side note for a second. The Mario movie. I'm kind of growing into Chris
I'm
Pratt's
so
voice.
excited. I'm so excited for it. I'm seeing it on the first day.
When does it come out again?
I don't know. May somethingeth. But
Um, but
realistic graphics are good for your average Joe Schmo. And I think going forward, there's going to be a lot more people who want to play games like The Last of Us.
right.
And it kind of expands gaming. I think it expands it to a more mature
Audience.
too.
And the other half of that is like, it's very easy to translate video games to TV shows or movies now.
Mm-hmm.
We see that perfectly with The Last of Us. There's plenty of scenes that are word for word from the video games, and I'm sure that if like the video games weren't realistic at all, like they wouldn't have gotten their feet off the ground to even like do that. Like,
I mean, the Last of Us is like the biggest thing right now.
right.
So it feels kind of good for us gamers who don't usually
It does.
get to be the biggest thing.
There was a TikTok I saw, and it was this lady on Book Talk, who's like, gamers, I'm disappointed in you. I can't believe you've been hiding these great stories from us and gatekeeping it from us this whole time, and I'm upset that you have been. I stitched that. I said, I just got done with episode 3 of the Last of Us. We have been telling you for fucking years that video games have great stories and that they're art. But no, you didn't want to fucking listen, and now you're crawling back. Look who's crawling back.
I want to be the person who makes the BioShock TV series or movie.
That'd be really cool. I need to play those games. I heard they're really good.
There's 3 of them right now, with rumors of a 4th still circulating.
One game in particular I'd like to focus on that's also considered open world, but I just want to like focus on it. GTA 5. I think this is one of those games that does open world perfectly. Where it literally just throws you into a fucking city, tells you these are the places you're supposed to go to progress your character and through the story. But you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can kill as many people as you want with little to no consequence.
That's what I do.
That's what I do. I beat the story, and now all I do when I go down there is like throw sticky bombs at people and like throw grenades at fucking.
It's kind of like Blade and Sorcery.
Yeah, kind of in that cathartic way. But yeah. So moving on from that, we have sports games. Now, when you put this on the list, I assume you meant FIFA, Madden, the NHL games.
Yeah.
Because like Mario Party is not really not Mario Party, but like Mario Golf.
Wii Sports.
Mario
Golf. Yeah. I'm so sick of Wii Sports' obsession with realism.
Mario Golf is too realistic for me. I needed to be stylized more. So sports games, I don't like sports games. Never have. Never
Me
played
neither.
one. Never played
But they
one.
look really good. They look really realistic.
They do look really realistic. Although, because of it, the thing with the sports games is that you see the difference. You can see it. I feel like sports games are going to be really useful in the future for like gaming historians to like analyze like how graphics evolve throughout
well,
like
because there's literally
generations.
one per year.
There's one per
they
year.
All look better.
Right, and they all look very slightly better. So like you have more like stops on the train to go through,
Yeah.
and we really get to analyze each one. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Do you have anything to add?
Just that it's starting to get uncanny.
Yeah.
Like we've got like maybe 10 years before these sports games are just look exactly like real life.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
already almost do. They're
Yeah.
already so close.
Yeah, they are very, very close. I mean, especially with the new Unreal Engine, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Um, so there's one more main like overarching group of games that I'm going to talk about in a second, but I want to touch on a game that I just thought about earlier. Twilight Princess, I think of all, deserves to be in this category of realistic games
Right. Yeah.
because
Trying
I don't think
course correct.
Twilight Princess is one of the few Nintendo games I would say is not stylized in like a major way. There's certain like species like the Gorons who are really heavily stylized, but Link, the rest of the world, like everything looks fairly realistic and like you feel like you're actually in a world that could exist in real life as you're
Yeah.
playing
See, I
through it.
feel like it has a dark style.
Well, yeah, it's a very dark
Like I'd say it's
style.
a little bit darker than what would be a realistic style.
See, no, I disagree. I disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree.
I
I
mean,
think
remember that I haven't even played it. I just from seeing videos of it and like knowing the vibes of the game.
it's really dark, but it's like the the tone of the game matches the story very well.
Hmm.
Um,
I want to play it really bad before uh, the new one, but I don't know if I'm gonna get to it honestly.
it's worth it. I promise. I need to. I had an urge to play it a couple weeks ago, and I never did. I need to play it again. Um, but it is a realistic type game. And I just think it's interesting that Nintendo made that. Metroid Prime also. Those games are fairly realistic, and those are Nintendo games as well. It kind of
Hmm.
that's kind of on the same category as Twilight Princess to me. It's a little bit stylized, but not like the Nintendo staple like signature stylization. Um, but going forward, shooter games. Shitter games are probably the most popular form of video game out there. Call of Duty in particular.
Yeah, it doesn't feel
Battlefield,
like it to me, but I know that it's true.
right? Like even Fortnite is a shooter game,
Yeah.
although that's more stylized. But like Apex Legends, Battlefield, Gears of War, I can't even think of any more. Wolfenstein, Doom. Well, Doom is not. Doom is on a different category. But
Yeah.
let's not talk about Doom right now, though. That's like a different topic altogether. But like stuff like that. All of those games have like realistic styles, and I think it works well for what they're trying to emulate. But
Yeah.
you know,
I feel like there's a much higher percentage of bad games that are going for realistic style than bad games that go for a stylized style.
yes, I agree completely, 100%.
But those are some pretty good ones. I mean, there's obviously been some bad Call of Duties and Battlefields here and there, but I've never seen one of them like take shit for their graphics.
Well, I've never seen any of them take shit for their graphics specifically.
I want to play Black Ops 2 Zombies really bad all of a sudden.
I've never played Black Ops 2. I've played
You
Black
need
Ops
to
3
come
though.
next time you're here. We're plugging in my Xbox 360 and we're playing Black Ops 2.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
That actually sounds really fun.
That does sound really fun. So let's we're gonna talk about two more games, and then we'll go on to some more topics. Let's talk about FNAF Plus at the moment.
Okay, why don't we just go into remakes?
Well, I was just trying.
Slash
That's what I
remasters.
meant. I was trying to like. They're in a weird.
Seamlessly
They're in a,
transition.
so. This has been a longer episode, I guess, is what I'm getting at, and I was just trying to segue it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I'd be willing to go into remasters and remakes, and then maybe talk about the future of games, and then call it a day.
I thought you were about to say do the future of games and then this part 4.
Oh,
And I was
part 4, yeah.
oh my god, this would be the longest running series we'll ever do. But
Gaming tech for life.
so continuing, we have remakes and remasters, and FNAF Plus was the one that we decided to really
We can talk about some other ones, but this one is like a prime example. It's not out, obviously, but looking at the teasers and the trailers,
oh my
it
god.
looks
I might
so
flash some pictures
good.
up on screen
Yeah.
of the differences, just because it's so good.
So this is one of those like officially sponsored fan game things. I can't remember what they're called. They're called like the Coffin Verse or
it's
something.
like it's FNAF. Ah, shit. There's like a name for it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is either.
But it's all about the fan games having more funding.
Scott Cawthon
so
funds the Five Nights at Freddy's fan games so that they can create better products.
So the Five Nights at Freddy's Plus is going to be a remake / remaster. I think it's from the ground up though. Remake.
It is 100% from the ground up. And oh my god, those animatronics look fucking terrifying.
That's going to be so fun. I can't wait to play it.
I know. And the thing is, like, I think it strikes the perfect balance between FNAF 1 and FNAF 4's in terms of, like, fear.
How scary
it is. Because FNAF 4 is just a little bit too scary to the point where I don't really want to play it. Like, the leaning into hearing the animatronics breathing in your ear only to get, like, jump scared by them is, like, I can't really handle that. It's, like, too much for me.
I really want to go back and play all of them.
It's fun. I've done it a couple times.
But that's an example of a game that if you change the graphics around a little bit, and especially with more funding, I mean, obviously the original Five Nights at Freddy's was literally coming from basically nothing.
Right.
And like remastering it, plus with the technology of today, it's gonna be really good.
It is, and I'm hoping they add some more mechanics than just like. I hope it's a better upgrade than just graphics. But even if it is, it'll still be a damn good game.
There's also The Last of Us remastered, but we've talked about The Last of Us all fucking day.
Yeah.
At this point, well, that's a remake. I don't think it's a remaster.
It's a remaster. Well,
it is.
It's an upscaled port. I think that's probably the most
basically
accurate. I think that's the most accurate. I don't think they change any like gameplay or anything. I think it's just upscaled.
Yeah, but I think remakes and remasters of video games make so much more sense than remakes of movies.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because like games are more because unless it's just like a specific like CGI movie or something, like you don't. Generally, a movie from the 90s is still going to hold up.
Like, and there's no point remaking it because it's still the same.
Right.
Games have a special thing, which is the fact that you can play them.
Right.
So, like, when it's been remastered, you can play it again just for the remaster. But watching a movie again just for the remake doesn't feel the same. You've already seen the movie.
Right. Exactly. So...
But obviously, some movies do it better than others. Are there any games that have a remake that is like Final Fantasy VII? The remake is like completely different.
Oh my god, yeah, it's like a completely different game.
It's a different game.
Resident Evil, I think, has a couple of them too that are similar in that sense.
Because that's often what movie remakes are. They are usually completely different.
Right. But going off of FNAF Plus, just another game that is like a similar genre of like mascot horror, Choo Choo Charles. I heard a lot about Choo Choo Charles. I don't know what the fuck happened with it. I have no clue.
It came out.
You tell me.
It came out. I watched Markiplier play it on a live stream, and I think it just looks so bad.
Really? See, I thought it had pretty good graphics.
Terrible.
The way the clips I've seen.
The clips make it look so good. The clips that he shared, and like the train does look good, but it's unfinished. It's basically an unfinished game. I don't know how people feel about it. I haven't like seen the reviews,
From what
but
I've heard, the everything seems to be generally negative because of how much it was hyped up.
it was hyped up. It looked like the best like indie game ever made. I mean, this is one guy making this,
Hmm.
and his previous game was called like Snake Hotel, and it was like a minute long, but it was crazy how good it was. Like triple A quality in a indie game that was made in a game jam. So then he's talking about coming out with this new game, and I was gonna buy it, and then I watched Markiplier play it, and I was like, what the hell? Like some of the graphics just look terrible.
Right. I need to watch him play it because
You should. It's in his archived streams. Um, but it just frustrated me because there's so many. It just looks really bad,
yeah.
and like the mouths of the characters don't move when they talk, but they play like a cutscene, and there's voice acting, so it's like, "Hello, my name is Jeb." Like their lips aren't moving.
That's weird.
It's so bad. It's not like you might as well have just tried to make it stylized.
You know what this sounds like a lot? It
What?
sounds like Phasmophobia.
Yeah,
Because Phasmophobia has a similar issue where it looks like on the surface it looks really good, but once you actually like kind of like
microscope. Take a
yeah,
microscope
like take
to
like
it.
take like really dissect it and like look at it, you realize just how terrible it really looks. Like,
That's another. That's
the
something
lighting
with indie games.
the lighting effect is the effects is what make that game a little bit. In
It's
terms of
gotten way
graphics.
easier to have the facade of good graphics when they're really bad
Yeah,
in recent years. But that
which in
frustrates
in
me
some
because
cases that's not a bad thing because
Yeah.
it allows indie developers to really
well, I think Phasmophobia is a good example. Like you have to look really close to realize that this is not like a really professionally made
right.
game.
The biggest clue to it is just the character models, like each like person.
Yeah, they're a little rough. They need a
But the ghosts look amazing.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
the
they
only
look
thing
really
is
cool and
they need
scary.
another jump scare.
Oh,
That's like the most frustrating thing about that game.
they need a jump scare in general. Like the scare isn't even scary. I don't think.
No, it was.
I know it's more about the
it was
tension,
fucking
but-
terrifying when I first started playing the game.
Yeah.
But then I got into a little bit.
Well, I thought there would be like a different one for every ghost.
But
and-
this is for this is for the Phasmophobia episode. We need to make a Phasmophobia episode at some point, and that's for that episode. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
But-
that then.
Choo Choo Charles, man, I don't. He was in such a rush to release it. He delayed it like 5 times and then put it out. He should have just said like, "There's no release date anymore because it needs more work." Because it came out looking terrible.
I
in my
wish more
opinion.
games did that. And that kind of goes on
Yeah.
to rushed graphics, which is kind of which
Mhm.
is a later topic that we have, but we can talk about it now. Rushed graphics is the worst fucking thing you can ever have in a game. Pokemon is the best example of this that is like stuck in everybody's minds because like
yeah,
you don't want a fucking like a game to run like shit and look like shit because they just they didn't think about how they wanted the game to look. I think like that's
I
how
would
it feels.
rather every day. I would rather wait 10 years for Breath of the Wild than get Pokemon Violet.
Right, like
If you do
well,
wait
we
a long
basic-
time for
we
a game,
basically
they're
have-
almost
we-
always.
we've waited what 7 years, 6
Yeah,
years
for
for
Tears of the
Tears
Kingdom.
of the Kingdom.
And I don't. There is such a low chance that the game's not good.
Right, exactly. Like there's no way it's like not at least decent.
Right, but I already had a feeling about Scarlet and Violet when Arceus had come out, and they announced the new one like 3 months later, not even.
Yeah. Yep.
I already knew, and it was coming out at the end of the year. I was like, "There's no way this is gonna be good."
Right. Arceus is the best. Love
It's my
Arceus.
favorite Pokemon game. I
It
think.
is mine too.
It was so fucking fun. I would do anything to play it for the first time again,
Yeah.
but it would not be the same to play.
No, it wouldn't be. And that it kind of goes on to something else, but so rush graphics in particular fall into this category as well. But there are other things as well. Does the way a game looks? Does that like affect how you view the game?
If it looks bad without like a clear style, I wouldn't want to play it. I think that Pokemon Violet, Scarlet doesn't have terrible gameplay mechanics, but I hate looking at it. It's like looking at a someone puking on the screen, so I don't want to play it.
Right. And that is something that I wholeheartedly agree with. There is something about art style. There's something to be said that like you can completely judge a book by its cover when it comes to art style. If you don't like an art style of a game, you do not have to play it, and you
I
don't.
mean, it's your personal
It's
opinion.
just your personal opinion. I really don't like the art style of like Attack on Titan, for example. And so
Yeah, I don't like the way it looks
so
either.
I've never watched the show because I watched like 5 minutes of the first episode and like felt nauseous because I like didn't like the art style that much.
It's a little too like clean
Yeah,
in a weird way for me.
it's like
I've
too.
been
It's
wanting to
like
finish
it's
it,
there's
but
certain parts of it that's too hyper realistic for me, and I just like they try to make it like a little bit too like real life, and it just doesn't work for me that well.
yeah.
But that's just an example. Some of the examples we have here are these are not necessarily bad games with bad graphics, just games that the graphics might affect how you feel about them. So we have Red Dead Redemption 2, We Were Here, and Jedi Fallen Order. So naturally, Red Dead Redemption 2.
I don't think that's what those were intended for.
That's what you put down.
Hold on, this is my fault. Oh, okay. Yeah. These for me were examples of games that like I basically played them for the graphics. No, not We Were Here. We Were Here is a special case that I wanted to talk about. But Red Dead Redemption 2 for me, I would not lay a finger on this game if it wasn't as beautiful as it is. But I'm a huge fan of it because it is so pretty to look at that I would just sit there and play it and just walk around.
That's how I feel about GTA, and it's kind of same developer, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And then Fallen Order is a game that
Yeah.
like captures the style of Star Wars so well. I
Right.
prefer the look of that to like the look of the movies, honestly. Like it feels like gritty, but also Star Wars.
Yeah.
I love the style of it.
Right. So another thing that another game that we didn't talk about with the realistic games that also might affect how you want to view it. The Dark Souls series, specifically Elden Ring.
Yeah, I meant to talk about those.
Those are really good games, and I think the graphical style works really well for them. Although, the graphical style also makes me not want to play it because it's a little bit too dark and gritty for me to like sit through.
Understandable.
I can't. I need there to be like moments of levity in a game, and those games don't really have that very often. They do occasionally. It's just not like enough for me to really gravitate towards it. And We Were Here. That's a game that generally the graphics are kind of like the PlayStation graphics. We're talking about the first game in the series. We haven't played the second, third, or fourth yet. But the first one is kind of in the PlayStation style.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. It's a little bit higher quality than that. It just
But I feel like that's a game that doesn't need the graphics.
no. It's perfectly done. It's done on
And
its own.
the style, that fucking marionette thing in the theater
That
level,
is like
that's a great example of good style that I want to
yes.
talk about. Like that, I like felt something with that, and like there's a lot of the voice lines and stuff. That game just had such a style to it that I just like playing it for the style.
Right.
I wish I'd written down some games that the graphics like took me out because
I have one. I have one that
Okay.
The new Super Mario Bros. Series is infamous for its graphical style. And the reason for that is that every game in the series had the same graphical style with the exception of the first one. And that is the biggest criticism. And beyond anything else, that's the biggest criticism because the graphics are so integral to a Mario game because of the level design is kind of based around the graphics because you need to have certain like everything is stylized to fit Mario, you know. So when you have three games that look exactly the same, it starts to become like a little tiring, and you don't want to play it anymore. I certainly know people that played the first game and Wii and then never played two or U at all ever.
Because they just look like the same.
Because they just look like the same game, and I can't say that I blame them, honestly.
I'll tell you one that the graphics took me out of, and I don't want to be mean because the graphics are good for the time, but like GoldenEye 007 looks so bad that I can't play it. I can't bring myself to play it.
That's fair. I get that
Fucking
one.
hate the way that game looks.
Well,
the
gameplay is also bad too. Like kind of bad because you can't look up or down.
Oh, I know. I don't like that game. It gets so much like love, but I tried it. Can't see the hype.
Yeah, I don't really like it that much either. Yeah.
How about let's ready to talk about maybe what we see in the future for graphics and games?
Yeah.
Before we go.
Yeah, I think this is a good time. So the main idea for me in terms of like going forward in the future is we have to take a look at like, will games become more realistic than they already are? Because right now they feel like I could, like, especially the sports games, and there's certain other games too that really feel like I could reach out and like pull that person and bring them into real life without much problem. But I'm sure
that was such an interesting way to word that.
I know,
I liked
but
it
works. But going back to what I was talking about earlier about with bad CGI, if I back in like the 2000s, like some of that CGI looked like they could reach out, pull it out, and bring it into real life to them. So maybe we're living in a world where
I thought about this before.
Our graphics are just as bad as 2000s graphics.
No, because they looked at GoldenEye and they were like, "This is too real. What's
right.
going to happen in 10 years? What are we going to do?
Exactly.
It's going to be too realistic."
So at what point does the threshold become, okay, it's not realistic anymore? Or like it's more realistic than like we can process.
More realistic than real life.
I know that sounds crazy, but like imagine
where else could it go?
Well, like
that's weird.
Detroit Become Human. That was the game I was thinking of. That's a game that looks that is
really
one
realistic.
game that is realistic, has realistic graphics that does it very, very well. And in fact, most Telltale games and like games in that style do that really well. But the like, whoa. Sorry, I just lost my entire train of thought. Damn. What the fuck just happened to me? It's like,
I don't know.
It's like my mind. It's like my mind just like fucking.
I watched it drain from your eyes in like less than a second.
What was I talking about?
Just about Detroit Become Human.
Detroit Become Human. It's a really good game. The graphics are great on that, and I like. I don't know But what were we talking about before that? Because I can't connect it to anything.
Realistic.
I know it's realistic. Ugh,
How realistic?
Matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter that much. But like, it's still. Yeah. Oh, the future of gaming. Imagine if Detroit Become Human, like, was made 10 years in the future. What would it look like then? Would it look even better? Would it look the same? I don't know.
It's a good question that maybe we'll find out. But I hope that in the future, they're getting really realistic. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
I hope that the realistic graphics and the stylized graphics, there's a few games that are there. I want them to like converge a little bit more.
Yeah.
Where
I agree.
like I think BioShock's a game that looks really realistic and is really stylized.
Yeah.
And I mean that's a pretty old game. Yeah, Borderlands has a style like that too. And I would just love I see video games getting way more mainstream really soon. I think The Last of Us expedited that process already. Right. I could see people going and buying a PlayStation 5 because of The Last of Us. Because they're like, oh my god, the story. There's a story.
I know. It's the thing is, like, I've been wanting since I've been talking to people for the past week, and I've been saying like I want a PS5 now. It's like the first time in a very long
Mhm.
time where I've ever wanted anything like a console that hasn't been like a Nintendo console, like the because PlayStation has Spider-Man, Bloodborne, uh, God of War, uh, what were we just talking about? Detroit Become Human,
The Last of
The
Us.
Last of Us. That was the one I was actually thinking of. Horizon. That's the other one. Until Dawn. Like stuff like that. It's all like just stuck on the PlayStation, and you can't play it in any other way. I think
Yeah.
Until Dawn is on PC still. Is on PC now. But
Yeah,
and certain other ones on that list too.
there's a few. I
But
wish there'd be more
right,
because they're like the best games.
right, exactly. That's the thing. Like they're really, really good, but I can't play them. Bloodborne
And
in
they have good
particular, I'm
stories.
a little mad at because I really I think that would be the only real Dark Souls game I would
Mhm.
enjoy because I really love that aesthetic.
I can just see the. I don't know if like stuff like The Last of Us keeps happening and people get more pushed into accepting what modern gaming is and like wanting to be a part of it. Like as far as like the whole world goes. Obviously games are pretty mainstream, but like getting to the point of after work, I'm gonna go home and play video games, like for the average Joe, instead of getting home and watching TV. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I think we're at that point with
Getting there.
with Call of Duty even. Like
Yeah.
that is probably the most mainstream game of all time, Call of Duty.
Yeah, it
Um,
just makes me curious if games are gonna become then like on par with like what movies and television are for stories.
well, they already are. I think they're better, honestly.
They are. I just in the eye of society,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Because I want that to happen. But it makes me wonder if that became a reality, what would really happen? Like I know Nintendo would be fine, but what would really happen to Nintendo? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like Nintendo is starting to fall further into being the kids' video games.
Right, exactly. And that's like you don't really want that because like you
No.
kind of get that reputation after a bit. And it just kind of, doesn't really work that well. Oh, I can't.
I feel like Nintendo right now is maybe more mainstream than like the like gamer consoles. Does that make sense?
Like PlayStation, Xbox?
Yeah,
I disagree.
in a way.
No, I don't think so.
Really? I feel like
No, because
to
the thing is
the outside person,
we are entrenched in Nintendo, my friend. We are
is
like
it just us?
I think it's just us. We are like swimming in Nintendo fanboy.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
not like-
Yes, you are. Don't fucking try to deny it. We've been playing Nintendo games for our whole lives, so we naturally have grown an affinity for them. Your average person never had a Wii. Well, your average person.
Your
never
average person never had a 3DS.
That's more accurate. A Wii. Generally, everybody had Wii's, but they mostly only had Wii Sports or something.
Yeah. No,
But
you're
now-
right. It's not more mainstream. I guess to my grandma, it just feels like people like my grandma would be more likely to be like, "Oh, you got your Nintendo,
Right.
lad."
More well known for sure, but
Right.
not more mainstream. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So with that, I think that it's time that we wrap up this video a little bit, episode,
And wrap up the trilogy.
wrap up the trilogy for finally.
trilogy is
this has been
over.
hanging over my head when thinking about new episode topics for a bit, and I couldn't remember what the actual episode topic was that we had to do.
I'm glad that the topic I came up with for today was also the part 3.
It was complete by chance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
just guessed that, like,
Yeah.
well, you didn't
I wasn't
guess.
trying
You weren't
to.
trying to.
Yeah. But maybe there'll be a part 4 in 10 years when we answer all of these questions about
Yeah.
the future of gaming. But
If you have a topic that you'd like to see, in
oh
the
god,
future
I
as
don't know.
well-
I don't know if we're going to be doing this in 10 years. That sounds like scary.
Oh my god, that does sound scary.
Carter, what have you been playing? Well, we're not be old in 10 years.
What
but...
the fuck? Am I gonna be fucking 60 in 10 years? Like,
well, let's say 50 years. What if we were still doing this in 50 years?
I feel like that by that point we'd either like give up or we would have made enough money that we wouldn't have to do it anymore.
Did you play Mario 64, but actually the 64th Mario game yet? Right, if we're doing this for like 60 years, we better fucking...
Yeah, we better be like rich off of it.
We better have millions and millions of subscribers.
My hope is that I'm going to be able to do YouTube for a while. But yeah.
I would like to. I'd like to continue this.
I think you should start up your own channel again. Or start making your own like single episodes.
Solo videos. I've made a couple, but I haven't really made that many.
Right. So,
but that does it.
That does it. I'd like to say again, if you have a topic that you'd like to see in the future, feel free to suggest it, and you might be able to see it as time goes on. We're always looking for new idea topics, and we're starting.
Yeah, we have no shortage.
We have no shortage, but we might. We have no shortage, but some more variety of because it's only the two of us that are thinking of these. So and Craig, but he's locked in the dungeon, so we don't really talk
right now.
Yeah, right now he's in timeout at the moment. Whenever we don't have a questions with Craig on the episode, it means he's in the dungeon and timeout.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
thank you guys so much for watching.
Yes. Thank you.
This has been Games Connect Us All, and good game.
I'm not going to say it because every time I say it, I ruin the end of that episode.